let's move on to the next step. All right, so now we're going to be covering HPA, or the Horizontal Pod Autoscaler. Again, before you get going here, we need to make sure there's a few things installed because it needs that information to do its job. And that is to make sure that you have the metric server. That's right. Did I not mention it inside the prereqs? I should have. I thought I did. Nope. Add another note. Add note in prereq for metric server. Let's see here. There you go. All right. And there's that. Then we can just make sure that that is running and working as expected. API not available. Oh. Well, it might just take a minute. Is it running yet? It's not running yet. It's running, but it's not available yet. Well, let's just take a gander. Okay, it's running now. Okay. I think what happened was I already had it installed, and then I redid it, and so then it kind of reset itself. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm looking at a couple of things. Permit to actually share. Well, it's a little late now. All right. Anyways, I did mean to share this. There we go. Like I meant to put a tweet out to say that I was doing this today. But it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. All right, and then I'll make a link here. Oh. So if I can see where we're at. Next document. And then of course, here we are. All right, so of course, if you're following along, one of the things you can do is if you want to get right where we're at today, you can actually check out the individual tag for our previous step. So our previous step was step 5. And so you can check it out right there. And that's what all the code where we were at. With the exception of getting your TLS set up, because you kind of have to do that. You have to create your cert, you have to create the key, and you have to put those in place. So moving on. If you hadn't already, like I said, you had to set up your metric server. And the way that you would do that is you would do Minikube add-ons, enable metric server, and then that will install the metric server into your Kubernetes instance. To make sure it's working, we would run kubectl top nodes, and that would let us know if the metric server is actually running or not. All right, now that we're caught up, the next thing we want to do, we're going to update our manifest so that we can give it some resource restrictions. without adding those, there's no way for the metric server to know. There's no way for the HPA server to know, are we at 60%? Should we be scaling or anything of that nature? So we need to make sure that we give it some idea of what the limits are for that server and what the request should be for it as well. I'm sorry, for the node. And I misspoke again, the pod. Ooh. The pod. So we're going to update our deployments. And let's see if we'd see. Oh, we actually already have it here. So the HPA CPU base to work. So we set up our requests for CPU, which is 100M. Memory is 128. And then, of course, we don't want it to exceed 200 or 256 of memory. But we don't necessarily have to apply or anything like that here, but we're going to do it anyways as just kind of part of the course. And then you can roll out those updates to there, and you can actually watch it, take them down, and roll them back up. All right, cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to create our HPA. So let's get that going. And here we are. API version autoscaling version 2. The kind is Horizontal Pod Autoscaler. Our name, hello app HPA. And then of course our namespace is hello. And our scale target is going to be our deployment. That way, you know, we're talking to that kind of. And the minimum replicas is 2, maximum replicas is 5. And the resource we're going to pin it against is the CPU. And the average utilization of 70%. Now, one thing I did want to point out with HPA is that the default for determining if it should scale back down, I think is 5 minutes. I want to say it's 5 minutes. Let's see, let's take a look. Yeah, stabilization window is 300 seconds. For our purposes here, I think for our video here, I'm going to tune that down. I'm going to tune that down. Does this go under our the spec? Yeah. I'll tune that down to 30 seconds. That way we don't have to wait 5 minutes for it to come back down. Okay. And you can adjust that. You can make it longer, shorter, whatever you actually need. Typically, you wouldn't want it to be so short. Because as people are visiting it and it needed those resources, it'd be kind of silly to have a blip in the have a very small window and then you scale down just to turn around a few seconds later for it to load back up, and then you have to do it again. So it's better to just wait a little bit and then tune it back down. All right, so our HPA is created. Let's get it, make sure it's there, make sure it's running, and yes, it's going to take a minute to populate this information, this unknown information. It has to communicate directly to the metric server. How often does it communicate to the metric server? Is every 60 seconds, I think, is the default. So every minute it's communicating over there. Nope, that's not what it is. Hold on. Here's a stabilization window, a tolerance. It's not period seconds, is it? The length of time in the past for which the policy must hold true. No. Mm-mm. Well, I'm not certain how often it pings the metric server. But it did, and you can clearly see that we're at 3% now. You know what? Let's just ask. I don't remember. It's a think period. Default value 15 seconds. Okay. That was in here, right? Yeah, it's right there. Okay. Sync period of 15. So every 15 seconds, it's pinging the metric server. Okay. And I even made a note right here. Well, how about that? Forgot about that. All right, to simulate load, we are going to use hey. Which you can install over here. And this is just a quick and easy way to really stress the server pretty quickly. So what we would do is we're just going to run this for a couple of minutes with 50 concurrent requests to our HTTP, to our application. And this will give us some pretty good load, and then we can actually watch HPA respond. So we'll go ahead and get this watching. Oh, we can only do one. But the cool thing about this is we can actually watch. So we'll get our watch going. And I'll make another note. Cannot use -w with multi. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and do this then. For local, but do HTTPS in doc for hey. All right, here we go. We'll let it ride. A lot of waiting. Waiting. Most interesting part of the morning. Oh. Hey, we have 5 pods going now. Check that out. Well, they're spinning. They're spinning up. They're not quite ready yet. So the system is responding. We can actually see our CPU load at 144%. So that's definitely above our 70% that we were looking at. So now the system is responding and bringing those up, and now we have 5. And we can actually clearly see that as RJL for M6, for C58, RJL again, V7G. So now there are 5 instances in the cluster. Pretty cool. And now that we have created load, we can take that load away, and it should, in a few seconds here, fall back down and go back down to our original 2 instances as before. Let's give that a second. Always like looking at it as like, how many requests did we make? A bunch, a lot. 36,175. Yeesh. So if we look over here, you notice that we are under our threshold. We're down to 55. And you can see that it just terminated one of our instances. It should take down 2 more of these guys. It should take down some more of these. We're still at 4. Should take us down to 2. Oh, there we go. Terminating 2 more. There we go. And now we're back down to our 2 as before. Very neat. Very neat. All right. Let's see what else we got. There's our one-liner, the imperative command that we can use to kind of set it. Some additional troubleshooting. I know I ran into this before where it's like, why is this not working? Well, the metric server wasn't installed. Or the metric server hadn't gotten metrics yet. And I'm like, it's not working. I was like, yeah, wait a little bit. So, there. Back down to 2 replica. And that is it for our HPA scaling. And this pretty much concludes majority of this entire series. I do have some stuff we can cover for security basics, but nothing I haven't already discussed. So, and all of this is already in place in our templates and things like that. Container hardening, verification, resource limits. Oh, excuse me. I'll wake up now. And then some additional resources and some screenshot ideas that I put in here. I need to actually do that in troubleshooting. So yeah, this pretty much concludes our entire series. Well, thanks for joining me for that, and I think I'll stay online for a little bit, and then I'll cut these images later, or cut this video later to put on YouTube.